Cold sweat, large seeds, small seeds on the forehead, middle buttocks. Wait. That's why the South Koreans do that. Is it because of me? So this thought came to my mind. The stiff open body of the middle buttocks, suddenly lifting the wings. He often holds his sword. I sold too much to the boys. That's why something like this happens. The body of the buttocks is cold. Your own thoughts seem to threaten you. Cardboard mail road bed. It's one of the First Nations. Surely they also have their own self-respect. There are always 7 failures by a kid from another school. So it's the male disciple himself. They will also question their own swordsmanship. Looking at the butt, unconsciously rubbing the bangs, just sighed fatigue. It's crazy. If I were a male disciple, it will definitely become a male sword. It's not a question of which school's martial arts. What's important here is the martial arts user. But I can say this to this kid. He wasn't the one who started this either. Middle buttocks feel a little sore. Headache when watching the glass. 8-7, I looked at the hand of my sword. Then murmured. Swordsman Tone Nam. Then 0-1 words, 2 more sentences, chew, but suddenly turned the toe. He walked towards the door and told me to leave. Lee Songbat suddenly raised his voice. Theo, maybe it's because there's so much doubt in my heart, was inspired by the words of the middle butt. But forget what I just said. Your own path must be decided by you. The ass doesn't turn its back. My advice may not have worked for you. So think about it and make a choice for yourself. He bought your house and me. After all, it can only do so much. Song 8. I can hear you. In a moment, it was as if he had made up his mind to frown seriously. White annealed bearing legs laid down on the wood floor. Full body without bed, straight back like a pen. The middle buttocks are a bit dazed, looking at the glass. 8. Emphatically embrace power. Thank you for the master's guidance. The air is both sincere and so. It all comes from the heart. Your ass is smiling. He opened the door and said nothing. The sound of a wooden door closing in space. Silence accidentally becomes prominent. Soon enough, middle ass is gone, and 8 alone glasses in the room. Silent hugging posture. After a while, release your arm. The voice is a little vague, but 8 muttered. This meeting. It's really new. Outside the gate of government and lower trade union, standing alone in front of the stairs. Down like an old man sighing in sorrow. Honestly now, I just want to run to the south and destroy them. Look at your ass trying to think. Brother, those bastards. Not only does it not repay our favor, it's about doing those dirty things. But I still try to hold my breath. She looked up at the sky crying. The evening sky is dyed orange, hunting the shadow of my brother. Tooth-Yun sighed and laughed. If not, what are you going to do? What else to do? At least I'll get there. Do the same as before. Your subconscious is like a ruffled cat. Hairy fangs screaming. But the more you think about it, the less logical it is. I can't get my ass in my mouth. I have to be stronger. His sharp buttocks lowered his determination. A place where only the strong can speak. So the middle glare at the distant horizon. It's like sending a word. You hit the wrong guy and hit the wrong guy. Dare to touch the paint. I will risk my life with you. On another distant horizon. It's also filled with sunlight. At Hoa Sun Moon Institute, the young teenager's voice was extremely restless as a signal. The sun is setting, brother. The young man is called brother. In the mouth of the teenager, Kier is equally uneasy. Foot pedaling bushy, extremely impatient response. I'm sure there was a bit of an accident. He's not the one who can do anything. It's like a teenager sitting on a fire. Bite nails. It must be a very important thing. He hasn't been back in 7 weeks. A firm word of flattery. Less than half of this voice. It comes from dragonflies. The young man squeezed the wrinkled paper in his hand, trembling endlessly. Next to him is a boy with messy hair. Gold beard stomped with fever. I hope the reason is big enough. Let the warden get over this. It must be that way. Yogan in a cold sweat. Master Rumcom official has arrived at the head disciple's place. Did we make a big deal or not? A word from Yogel. It makes Chun cotton mute in place. Probably can't find a reason. Let's defend the leopard disciple Kier again. In the conference room, the loud voice of an old man screaming with indignation. It's not that bad or bad. Bakmai Quan manager, the cold sweat on my cheeks, did not dare to breathe. But just look. It's been 7 weeks. How a third disciple? It may not have the master's consent. Disappear at 7 Kier. We can't accept something like this. It is the voice of the owners. Chief student, we can't ignore this. We're in a pivotal moment. To rebuild the Kier sect. People think SAO about this issue. The old man continued to shout. Calm down, brother. I don't know, the boy's got a problem. Brother to the martial arts, masters quietly advise. What difficulties can you encounter in Hoa Sun? No matter what kind of problems he has. The boy ran out of his own way. Is the truth. How can we get past this? A thunder to argue against. What if the boy slipped and fell? He was struck by a somewhat naive word of yours. He couldn't help but be a little stupid. Slip your feet. The old man probably felt this theory was possible. So he turned to the master and said, It is better for us to search around the mountain. The opponent also nodded. It could be the same. But at SAO from the beginning of the program, you gave him the right to be free. Go back down there. Suddenly asked Riduong. Hoa Sun village elders naturally cough con for a few hours. Awkwardly replied, Well, we have our own reasons for that. For whatever reason, chief. The old man suddenly stood up his hands against the virtual table. It's not that we have to follow the master's rules. Without exception, or SAO allowed. I can't help but feel a small cold sweat. Tell a brother. Chief student. Story are seriously affecting the foundation of Hoa paint. Since when did you paint? Become a place again. Can you allow a child to have that privilege? Not only that, he is just a third-generation student. He watched the elder close his eyes, as pure as the spirit. Listen to the dragon. Even if he's a special case. It's hard to accept something like this. And then suddenly, the old man opened his deep eyes. Light up a powerful, piercing ray. Low voice. It's okay to stop here. We thunder flashed startled. A cold sweat on my forehead. I'm sorry, brother. You're too impatient. He said in a low voice that he was pushing the chair down. A sigh of sorrow ferries out from your mouth. And elders. Your eyes are complicated. The conflict between doubt in yourself and in the ass. I must have looked at that child the wrong way. Chinese cotton as we know it. You can't do something like this. I'm going to take some students and scout around to see what's wrong. Ru guards seriously proposed. Maybe he's near the pit. Suddenly outside, his voice changed. A teenage newspaper. Back to the old people in the conference room. Slightly startled, turn around and look out the door. The elder hurriedly opened the door and asked in a high voice. Back to Kier. The elder's eyes. Hoa-san slightly wobbled by the call. Chief student. Middle butt. He is currently on his way back to the village. Your ass is back. Is it safe? The elder's mettle rushed forward. According to Sao, the elders of other masters. The manager replied quickly, yes. Master in the four limbs, he's all healed. Last sound. I was interrupted by your hasty voice. The elder said. No, we have to confirm it directly. Old body quickly glide across UM. Suddenly, the old man in the back called. Wait a minute, Mr. Four. Father Hoa's son hurriedly turned his head. Look at my brother. Why are you a little confused? The four brothers. I know you care about that child. The feats that the boy brought. It's amazing. But that. What do you mean? The elder brother asked. Don't wrap that kid up too much, brother. The reward is a way to run a family, as well as method to raise a grown child. If a child is not properly punished, even if you make a mistake, the child doesn't know where his fault is. Don't forget that the more you care, the more I have to be strict with them. The elder brother was surprised and sighed a little. Answer. Maybe we don't know that. Brother Dong, he was a little surprised to see his four brothers. Don't worry. I was the one who wanted to raise the child so. Than any other AI. I just want to see if it's safe. That's not okay. I can't believe you. He looked surprised out of sight. The man just raised his voice. Violation of the laws of the White House. Not coming back within 7 days is extremely serious. At least locked up in Hudong Station for half a year. Is the curator of Hua Sect. The worm comes forward a few steps. Half a year, Jung come. Now, that's what a third-generation disciple has to do. A plea from the elder Hua Sect was broken by Yang's stern voice. If you do that, the punishment will be even worse. Punish in accordance with the laws of Hoa-san. Master, if you don't give the punishment suitable for middle S, I'll do it for you. Face full of determination. Seriousness of Jungkom. It makes you look like he's temporarily stuck. Ask others what they think. We Dong. We sang old man and Jungkom fellow teachers. Definitely said. That's right. We watch the elder fall into contemplation with his eyes closed. When you open your eyes, you seem to have made the final decision. Then he said in a low voice, I know. I am in the middle. You can feel the tension in the air. With a fever, I look forward to him. Then am breathing a sigh of relief. Give way to the elders. Am next to me just thinking. Why are you doing this? This middle ass. The door of the martial arts sect opened. The third-generation disciples were both looking at the general, but drilling hands behind the back. It's kind of like an old man walking in. Welcome to the chief. A teenager high-pitched newspaper. In the ass, a little bit unsuspecting looking ahead. Surrounded by the third-generation disciples, solemn embrace occlusion, right to welcome the presence of the elders of Hua Sect, is a step closer to the middle of the butt. Serious bass-face tone, especially the elder hind husband. Hua Sun rule like that. It's not the same ass with the old soul. Understand the best. He crouched and hugged the noble air of greeting. Master, please be my guest. The Middle East still holds an uncertain spirit staring at you, even with a low voice. Chinese cotton boy naturally raised eyebrows. The corners of her lips slightly cracked and laughed. Yes, master. What is the reason you are absent from the mountain? When he asked, the middleman answered. Yes, the disciple has a special reason, sir. This kid, a third-generation disciple, where is this insatiable behavior? If you don't give a good reason, you will be punished, the old man suddenly shouted. Tell me. If your reasons aren't compelling, then I will punish you. You look after the elder next door. The spirit is no less strict. I just came back from an interrogation. The middle buttocks are a little unreceptive. Plus the attitude of your elders. Stuck in place. How about that? Don't hold your breath. I can't tell you right away. The old man's personality is a little hot. New loud shout. Suddenly, the gathering of interrogators of people in Hua Sun, suddenly cut off by the gentle voice of another old man. Please don't be like that. The old man's eyes shrank slightly, to express the utmost surprise. A foot wearing black boots entered the gate of Hua Sect, with the Tung people behind. Seats and staff are not lacking. Waving the flag of the mercantile union, slowly fluttering in the wind. The wild ones enlightened the rich, who appears with a modest appearance. Somewhat casual, he said, please don't yell at that child. The old man's eyes were open. 7 voices echoing through Hua Sun, moan. Wild Lord, right? You're still healthy, aren't you? Face with the wrinkles of time dilated. The gentle smile. Wild man, it's been a long time to see you like this. Elder Hua Sun, probably the only one awake, just in time to welcome. In a slightly unrestrained voice, surprising volume uttered. New 7 days ago, I also received a notification letter. You are not well. Why did you get here now? Her husband asked. That little leader, replied Willow with a smile. It was the mayor who saved my life. So don't get too mad at him, Chief. Listen to these words, brother. Both the old man and the old man are temporary. The whole thing wears on the spot. Behind their backs, it's the teenager whose name was mentioned, are smiling and laughing. The Lord saved me and saved me. The whole mercy. The group turned their heads in bewilderment and looked at the middle of the butt. The face of the dew is majestic. On the teenager's face, the middle buttocks shrugged and laughed. That's right. About a while later, the elders and the armor men went into the library. The conference of Hua Sun try and start the interrogation of the teenager. What you did for the king. Can you explain more clearly? Middle buttocks kneeling under the floor tiles. Both of Yang's hands explained with high voices. There's something called the 5 syllables. It looks almost like wormwood on the outside, but it contains toxins. As you know, I am from the Middle East. That's right. He watched the elder in the opposite seat. Middle Cotton replied yes. If you can eat, then the beggars are the ones who eat everything. So they'll sometimes eat 5 clams. If poisoned, your body will suffer from pain and lead to death. The buttocks continue to explain. But the 5-syllable detox is simpler. We think, just eat the salt beets. Even the doctors. There's no specific cure. But strangely, if you feed the patient new beets, it will be easy to recover. That's what you mean. It was because the emperor was poisoned by 5 thou sao tones. Asked the elder. The buttocks answered yes. Because the symptoms are very similar to fast. So I experimented with using that to see why, and I'm glad he recovered quickly. I've heard a similar story before. It's obviously where it is. It's a common thing that people get poisoned. Speak up as confirmation. The captain glanced at him and said, Yeah. So the words of the middle butt are not false, right? Of course, in your ass, you've calculated nothing. The inner subconscious laughs proudly. If you have any doubts, just ask the people there. That's what we went through directly in the war. It's the truth. It has nothing to do with the devil. But you know what to do. Just talking to Lord Willow is clear. Is that really true? Then there's no going back. At that time was Juncom drilling hands behind the back to speak. If that's true, we should reward instead of punish. Right, sir? Yang Gong Bao, the elder, he said, sounds reasonable. Of course. Like this word of yours, was quickly cut off by the impatient urgency of the cancer deputy curator. You can't imagine what the head teacher thinks. The two of them looked at him in surprise. No matter how powerful the attack, but violated the rules of the headmaster and stitched back. It's not a big crime. Must be clear. You can't decide to be indifferent like that. Hoa Sun elders sent to listen. Am great sports, say. 2 words clearly in the leader's mind. Your silver eyebrows look slightly raised. The law is more important than human life. The old man's voice was low. It makes the most of the time. A cold sweat on my cheeks. You mean to praise a disciple who returned on time and leave a dying man behind? I'm embarrassed to say that. Flowers paint is a sective pursuit. There's something to prioritize than helping and saving a human being. My little order. It is more important than building a relationship. Looking at you, you look uncertain. It's still kind and gentle. But the air is 10 parts sharp. That made him unable to move. I don't think so. Just in time, you am back. Close your eyes and think. Then sighed like sorrow, like relief. Okay. I aroused the anger of the chief. Then there are no elders. We can talk about the crimes of the Middle East. If you don't want to be swayed by other people's opinions, and ask the middle ass, he's got to make a valid argument. Maybe he understands his intentions too. He suddenly remembered who got up from his chair. He is not fast or slow to move forward. The buttocks are still under punishment, hands on their knees on the ground, looking up for a while. The Chinese suddenly called out to the meek Chinese. Yes, master. Brother looks. The old man put his hand on his buttocks, rubbing and smiling. You're working hard. Blue tendon, red tendon roll up on the middle buttock's face. It was dark with an arrogant smile. Very reluctantly. It's not the old man's soul. More than 100 years old in the middle, or other cause. The love center is not fun at all. I've been on my knees for too long. Inwardly think so. It's still a teenager out there who hasn't reached puberty. For an hour, yes. 2 hours, yes. Me and the company. I have done a great favor with the paint. The wild voice echoed. Solemn review conference room library. Well, not more precisely. I've got the help of the guru in the Middle East. But the director transferred all that work back to Cho Hoa paint. He turned his head and looked at the buttocks. You castrated, so you also understood the meaning of bowing reverently. 3 elders and 2 warders made a noise. Everyone showed an attitude of surprise and admiration individually. The elder Hua Sect his rosy cheeks. Seems very proud. So I'll give thanks to the paint. I want to invest in paint. The elder. Financial and economic responsibility of Hua Sect. Listen to these 2 words. I want to drop my jaw out of my mouth. SAO investment muscle. The word investment is not correct. Wild gate armor. Support may be more obvious. The investment will receive a return, but support will not get that part back. Right. Wild man support SAO. You look at the elder Hua Sect said in shock. Thank you for being so passionate about paint, but... Chief. These 2 words intersected the words of the elder Hua Sect. Wild Angel said, if only to thank the hearts of people from the painting, I wouldn't have come here directly. Now I want to try to put my faith in the paint. We brought the heads of the trade unions here. Let's discuss slowly what the paint needs, and what can we do for the good of others. Garbage is not hot and not in a hurry. Thank you very much, Mr. Wild. He watched the elder excitedly control his voice, just said and bowed head thanks. Then turned to the middle of the back and say, you really brought happiness to the mountain. And now I have the Lord's help. LAN name transmission. Maybe the buttocks are opening their eyes, because behind your back, watching the elder peach blossom and bloom, they all showed a very proud attitude. I'm so proud of him. The laughter was as if it didn't ring. So Chang the owners and you sit here. The rest, get out. Everyone quickly followed your words in him. Yes, master martial arts. We sang in Yuan Gom with Trung But, walking on the stone path, leaving the convent conference room library. Suddenly, we sang approached the middle back of the butt. Smash a gas in your back. That startled the middle butt. You're really working hard. Buttocks with hands hanging on the back. Smoke afraid of body. So I don't dare to express my feelings. Just welcome. It's not a big job. The old man laughed loudly. Why do you think I said that? Do you know who you're saving lives for? That's Mr. Wild, he said, and walked happily towards the hospital door. The paint is so blessed. Before he disappeared, he said happily, my ass looks at you and thinks, the blessing that Hua Sect has is me. The middle buttocks turned their heads to look at the caller. Yes, boss. The boy answered the question in his head for an hour, like the enemy staring in his ass. The usual stern expression. I know you've done a good job, but it's not very ingenious. Just leave the mountain. You can't say a word. That's a big crime. The Chinese replied with his back bowed. The student was in such a hurry that he didn't think about it. I have no doubt that the Yuan-gam of the prison guards are implacable. Your mistake. It's true that you broke the rules of the headmaster. There is no other way to justify it. So middle buttocks think stomach. Why are they so stubborn? Unconsciously, he looked up and was surprised. You see, the corners of the lips of the guards curled stealthily. Then the enemy coughed con for 2 hours as if hiding. Love just said, you should always practice yourself. Chinese Cotton squinted and looked at the shadow of the guard's back. It's getting further and further away. Think, try. Follow me to the old man. Deliberately or unwittingly raise your voice. Finally, the luck of Hoa-san has come. Just waiting for the good news. Of course, you can hear the stomach. Hoa-san's luck to Sao. Then we went to the painting. An empty brick martial arts field. Every wind sound vi vu, go with your ass in your thoughts. The sacrifices we've made. When will you wake up the mountain? Suddenly, Chu's butt looked up at the sky. Lip line curled up to breathe a puffy breath. From you, brother, now your hip hurts too much. 5 people are sitting at the table. Later, the business in the UK will be in my own hands. Flower, paint, you won't have to worry about money anymore. I'm going to keep talking, but we have 2 conditions. The first condition, not accumulate the money earned. All must be used for the development of Paint Hoa. The elder agreed. If that's the case, I totally agree. Flower, paint, it's not in the accumulation phase right now. The second condition. This is a benefit for the 3rd generation of middle but disciples. You in silence thinking hum. Incentives is a word that's not transparent. Up to this point, middle buttocks are enjoying a lot of privileges that a 3rd life disciple can be. What to do? Is there any way to prioritize him? Wei Sang replied to the chief. What do you think about training first? That's the secret he discovered last time. I'm talking about the 7 swords and the 7 swords. After completing the immersion, I'm going to let him practice these 2 tricks. The elder laughed and said, that's not a bad idea. Suddenly, he could not speak in a grumpy voice. The air suddenly became tense. The old man frowned. What's the matter? There's something you should be so upset about. The old man replied, we're talking about rewards. That can't be considered a reward. More work for a child. Had been busy practicing martial arts in Bak Mai Kwan. What pot do you think? That's what you think. Just holding a sword is different. Everyone at the table didn't understand what he meant. What does it mean after all? He slammed the table and stood up. That's not a reward. Compression for people. It's one of the things that we have. And don't have to suffer any 7-fold damage. It can't be called a test. We have to give people what we value. It's called a bonus. Do you understand what I'm saying? 0-1 response. The elder put a lot of question marks in his mind. Why is this guy suddenly like this? Until the previous meeting, he still insists on punishing the boy. It's even more atmospheric. This must be normal work. The Lord saved the Lord. It's because of that our son got the money. I'm not saying it's giant funding. More than that, the Wild Lord is the person who directly runs the business for Paint Flowers. It's no small thing. Master brother. Is it free again? The master looked at his brother. Forever and ever. You don't know how to respond. In fact, this accountant also has his own difficulties. That's why it's so outrageous about money. The genius of is the place to carry the livelihood of Hoa-san. And a place that didn't dare speak up all this time. Even one word. People are busy with the economic literature of the sect. There's no place for income. Compared to making money, maybe we should spend less. The genius of the owners, the foreman is asking for our tax debt. Tired of lying down, the chair answered. I don't know. Just tell him we're broke. That place with you. It is hell. Love management of a sect are on the verge of annihilation. It's not going to be boring or boring. It is possible to maintain paint in this shape to the present time, thanks entirely to the merits of the ray orientation of the thong. Tendency in sighing, ten dong. He had to endure a lot. You can only spend a fixed amount each month. The rest of the money must be kept. We can wait until the time like now. So it's easy to understand. To have fun with middle buttocks, who made the current situation so. We have to give the boy a reward he deserves. If so, he's motivated to go on to 6 jobs. The elder stung. It's not a job, it's called a job. Badung I to spray glue. Even if that's the case. Master, the boy is a genius. Must give a worthy reward. Let the boy out. To be able to continue earning. Do you know this time? How much money did he make back? Money is money, master. For someone who can't earn a penny like me. That boy. He's a special boy. You understand what I'm saying, don't you? You come next to him. Hold on tight. The heat is about to come out of your throat. You dragged him out. Chief student, you have to reward him very well. A very large part. The door is closed. The elder said calmly, I hope everyone understands him. He's been through too much. The 2 elders replied, I understand. But the head teacher, I think the owners are right. We should give him one. The reward is worth it. Other students will look at this to learn. And Hoa-san will also be tested. But what should we try? If he likes to go down the mountain, should we name him? As a liaison to the trade union? He laughed. It's not about making him run errands. Or SAO can't see that as a reward. Every time you meet the middle of the road, the boy was very well received. Or should we let him practice his sword tomorrow? That sword, it's not the symbol of our mountain. Or SAO hero. We can also make him comfortable. In and out of the book room. I don't know where to hide my head and scream. You don't have to just give him the money. If you have money, do whatever you like. These people are making people nervous. He closed his mouth and pulled him out. The quiet space is back. The badge looks thoughtful. The paint is becoming more and more strange. In the middle of your ass, you're walking with Mr. Wilde. Did you mention that you're good at acting? Homo armor landing. We're in the same boat now. Smiling in the same boat. Thanks to my luck, I saved the owner. But what are we? Can I get on a boat with the owner? Everything now. You'd better tell the chief. I have absolutely no intention. On the same boat with paint. You speak the truth now. To be honest, if the mayor, not the man of the paint, I'll never care about this school. You take a deep breath. You overestimate me. His eyes seem to see his future. Minor director. I've been a trader my whole life. And will continue to be traders. Until the day I die. It's the only weapon a trader has. It's the eyes that look at people. If we look at the wrong person, maybe the company has been in business for a long time. People who live solely on luck. It will one day collapse. But even so, I won't feel warm either. or regret anything. But if this eye is still sharp, it's not a good thing for paint. And Grace Trade Union, or SAO,